Okay, so I'll just straight up say I am kind of impressed that a YouTuber was able to make this movie on this budget with this passion. I think the film industry needs a lot more of that. Not necessarily YouTubers making movies, but just people with actual passions in the project they're working on. That being said, this movie was kind of a mess. Let's get into it. Okay, so full disclosure before we get into the video, I have never played this game before. So if some of my criticisms get met with, well, you need to play the game to be able to appreciate this, okay, I get that. But at the same time, this is getting released to people who, let's be honest, a good majority of the people watching this movie have never played the game. So when adapting it to a wider audience, you gotta keep that in mind. I will say that looking into this movie, looking into the lore of the game, it kind of had me hooked. I mean, the general setup of the game and the movie is in the far future when mankind has gone out into the stars. One day, every star and planet just vanish out of nowhere. They call it the silent rapture, if I'm not mistaking the terminology. And all that's left are a couple of space stations and a couple of moons, and that's it. No stars, no planets, and the only lights in the skies are those of stars that have yet to vanish, because a star twinkling in the sky, that's like several hundred years ago that we're seeing that star. So, interesting concept. And on one of these moons, they find an ocean of red liquid that looks exactly like blood, and they start exploring it, looking for any resources they can use. And so that's kind of the general premise of the game, and this movie follows a convict being placed in one of these submarines, going down, looking around, trying to find out what's in this blood ocean. And so that's the general concept of the film, and yeah, I like the concept. The general concept of the game and the movie are really cool. It's a good hook. And before I get into the negatives, let's talk about the positives. Yes, Markiplier, for a first-time actor, he did a pretty decent job. I mean, there was a couple of times I felt he was trying to make his voice a little bit more gruff than it actually is, and then immediately just abandoned it and talked normally. And apart from those few times, I thought he did a pretty decent job pulling off a guy scared out of his mind, not wanting to be there. I thought he did a pretty good job for a first-time actor. So, kudos there. The other thing that I was totally impressed with is that this movie had a budget of like $3 million. And what they built with that $3 million was very, very impressive. I didn't feel like it was a cheap sci-fi film at any point in this. I thought they did a really good job stretching each dollar to its absolute limit. Now, some of the things I wanted to see in the film, like some of the things they were like explaining in past tense terms and some of the creatures, I would have liked to have seen, but at the same time, that would have made the budget a lot more expensive than $3 million. So I get why they didn't show certain things, and I get why they couldn't have done other locations, but, for what they did, really solid. But that's kind of where my pros end and the cons begin. So, the first con, and I understand that there might be someone saying, well, that's exactly how it was in the game. Okay, fair point. Again, I've already established I haven't played the game. I thought the sub design, like how whatever corporation made the submarine, how they designed the submarine, was so ridiculously stupid. It's no wonder why they keep losing people on these expeditions. You basically have a submarine with one guy in it, and there's the pilot controls where he's controlling the vessel, but in order to see outside, he has to go all the way back to the back of the submarine, hit a button, get a single camera flash of what's in front of the submarine, and go all the way back to the controls. You can see this a few times when he's trying to navigate a tight corridor. It keeps running back and forth between the single photo camera outside and the controls of the submarine, and it's just like, what moron designed the sub? At the very least, there should have been 2 people in the sub, but at the most, you should have had the camera, I don't know, by the controls? I mean, I'm just saying, it felt like a lot of the tension and issues in the character's journey of this movie were because of really, really bad engineering design of the people who created the submarine. The other thing I did not like was the audio mixing. Through various points in the movie, it's a one-man show, and I can hear the main actor fine enough, but like outside of the main character, some of the people I was hearing on the radio outside of headquarters, I could not understand what they were saying most of the time. And I don't like watching subtitles with the movie, but this is a movie, if I ever watch it again, or if I ever like have someone like go, I'm going to see it, I would tell them, watch it with subtitles, because I caught maybe half of what was being said on the radio, and some of it was crucial need to know information. At one point, this can be considered a spoiler, but I'm going to be a little bit vague on it, and plus, if you have a couple of brain cells in your head, you can figure out that somehow this is related. At some point, someone on the radio said, this blood ocean is somehow related to the silent rapture. And it's just like, but it was very gargled, and how they explained it, I couldn't understand what they were saying. So it's just like, wait, what? And I couldn't rewind the movie because we were in the theater, and so it's just so much information felt like I would have known it if I understood what the person was saying. There's a lot of garbled voices on the radio, and so the audio mixing needed to be fixed, or at the very least improved upon. Probably my biggest issue with this movie is the story progression and how the events were positioned in the film. For a good chunk of this movie, I would say an hour and a half of this movie is literally just the only actor on screen stumbling around trying to figure stuff out. It was kind of boring, if I'm being completely honest. And again, I understand someone might go, that's how it was in the game. Okay, fine, sure, but when you're making a movie, you need to keep the pacing decent, alright? And I'm not saying there needs to be an action scene every 5 minutes. You can have a very well-paced movie that has no action in it, okay? But, I mean, look at 12 Angry Men, okay? No action whatsoever, incredibly paced movie. And, like, there's something that happens, like, 20 minutes from the end where a deal is struck up, and it's like, guys, you could have stretched that out a little bit longer and had that deal struck at the halfway point and have the movie like him trying to accomplish this deal, okay? But no, we're gonna just squeeze that in the last 20 minutes of the film. And so, I mean, so much of the movie is just like him trying to figure out how to properly use the submarine. And it's like, really, if this was it's like a real life event, they would have told him how to operate the submarine without just like, oh, we'll put you in here, alright, good luck, figure it out yourself. It's like, well, what does this do? It's the camera. And it's like, there's even a scene in the movie where he literally says, why didn't you guys explain this to me? And they never do explain why they didn't explain it to him. But it's like, no, it's a valid question. Why would you not explain this dangerous equipment to the person who has to operate? And I just felt this story should have been better organized in terms of what we got, because this is an over 2-hour movie, and this did not need to be over 2 hours. This could have easily been a much better paced hour and a half. I would have been a lot more forgiving of any of the other shortcomings if this movie was a little bit shorter. But I mean, as it was, I almost fell asleep, like, I want to say 3 to 4 times I almost fell asleep during this movie. My wife actually did fell asleep during this movie, and so just I appreciate what they did with this, but I did not have a great time with this film. I felt that it was very slow paced, and it was having trouble holding my attention through the very slow parts of the movie. Most of this movie is a slow burn, and if done right, slow burns can be amazing. But this was a time where the slow burn did not work for my liking. There's some good creepy moments, there's some good moments of tension, but a lot of empty space in between those moments. And so, for that, I don't see myself really buying this film, and I think a lot of people won't enjoy this film just for those reasons. Again, I want to see this YouTuber, Markiplier, do another video game movie. Maybe another game he live streamed that he had a lot of fun with, get another indie game off the ground, make a movie that way. I absolutely want to check out his next film. I just feel this film, he didn't quite stick the landing with it. So, anyway, that's been my review of Iron Lung. What'd you guys think? Say off in the comments down below. My name's Chris Rucon with 11 Hour Reviews, and that will be all for today.